Hey, you there. Thank you for watching and welcome to Forge Line Server. Today I have a 7v7 custom match here on the most amazing new access map generator on Viewer Wednesday. So shout out to the person who sent me this replay. Their name is down in the description. We'll take a look at Team 1's players on the northwestern side first, and then we'll introduce Team 2 on the southeastern side. Starting off with Team 1's, let's go southern side first. We have in Pac-Man Yellow, it is the Seraphim of Twitchy Mofo. He's playing as again, Seraphim for this match as a 1700, the highest rated player on Team 1 and tied for the highest rated player overall. To his northeast, we have in Glow in the Dark Green is De Sauerkraut. He is a Aeon for this match as a 1500. To his northwest in Orange Color Orange, it is another Seraphim. It is Maven. He is a 1100. To his east, we have an Imperial Grey. It is Nyx playing as a UEF. He is a 1500. And next door to him, kind of split on the landmass, just barely there. We have in Regal Purple, it is Black Phoenix. He is a 1300 as a Cybran. To his northwest, we have in Tropical Ocean Blue, it is the Seraphim of Moose Fabricator. Definitely interesting name there. Either the Moose run the Fabricator or it fabricates Moose. He is a 1200. And to his west, we have in Chevy Crimson, it is the UEF of Rick. Wonder if we're going to see Morty this video. We do see that he is a 1200. So for Team 1 side of the map, they have, if my count is correct, 2 UEF, 1 Cybran, and then we have 1 Aeon, and then 3 Seraphim. So all the factions noted on Team 1 side of the map. Taking a look at Team 2 southwestern side first, I will note that we see an upgrade started for Spectre Slave. He is joined by his teammate of Master of Seasons. He's playing as a UEF as a 1500 in Royal Blue. To his northeast in Snow White, it is the Seraphim of Blarg. He is a 1400. To his southeast in Forest Green, the best color, of course, it is Hyper 2001. He is a Cybran as a 1200. In the middle, we have Team 2's highest rated player. It is Spectre Slave 137 playing as a UEF. He is a 1700, tied with Team 1's Twitchy Mofo for highest rated player. Overall, he is in Rust. To his north in Barbie Pink, we have Team 2's player on a nice little island in the northeast. It is Randy Savage. He is an 1100 in Ruby Red. To his southeast, we have somebody on Team 2 running through his base. It is Rye Guys. He is a 1300 as a Cybran. And that player who's running through his base, it is Rekather playing as a 1500 as a Cybran as well in lightest red pink. So for Team 2 side of the map, they have 2 UEF, and I believe that's 4 Cybrans, 0 Aeon, and 1 Seraphim. So Team 2 only lacks the Aeon faction. And for these 14 players on the map, let's take a look at their reclaim situation. Currently sitting at... Ooh, that's not a lot of reclaim. 3,000 mass, not per player, not even per team, but total, which means the total count per player roughly is about 200 mass. I mean, it's not really worth writing home about. The map does make up for it at least a little bit in the mexes department. We do see, of course, the main players, main bases, whatnot. There are a couple of one-off mexes, especially dotted around Rekather's position in the southeast. But there are a couple of locations that players definitely want to go grab. We do see Team 2's Randy Savage grabbing that Trimex position to the east of his starting base, and then we do see another Trimex position to the west of Master of Seasons main base. We do see a couple of mexes in the water down here in the southwest, as well as a decent amount in the northeast. We have 2 Trimex positions and then 2 twin, actually technically 3 if you want to count that one, in the water. So there is going to be some fighting over some mexes in the water, which I do enjoy seeing. I feel like not a lot of maps have mexes in the water, so that is a nice thing to see. We do see, again, it is going to be a Navy map, heavily focused just because of all of the water, and given there's really not a lot of incentive to traverse the map in terms of territory to try to grab from Team 2 to Team 1, pretty much every little spot is going to be taken. There's not a lot of landmass to go around for each player, so it's going to be very much bases kind of essentially not consolidating, but colliding into one. We'll have shields over shields over shields, I presume, as we go on through the match. But we do see there's going to be a lot of Navy. We do see Team 1's Twitchy Mofo, Meven. We see Sauerkraut. We see Nyx. We see Black Phoenix, and we have Moose in the water. So was that 5 of the 7 players have naval facilities started and completed? We do see Team 1's Rick, and who is that? That is no, Meven's in the water. Okay, who is the other one not in the? Did I do my count wrong? Is it 6? Oh, my count wrong is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I'm missing. Who am I missing? I don't know who I'm missing. Anyway, no, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. What? Am I blind? I think I'm completely blind. I feel like there was 6 players in the water, but I guess not. But I can't tell who it is. That's weird. Anyway, Team 2 side of the map. I'll probably go to there in a second and figure out what I missed. We see Master of Seasons. We see Blarg. We see Hyper 2001 himself is in the water going for torpedo early, which is what I love to see in Cyberns. Hopefully he goes for at least stealth, maybe nano. We see Team 2's Spectre Slave. We also see Guys. He is in the water. It looks like maybe he's going to build a facility on the eastern side. And then we see Rekather in the water. So that is everybody. And we see Team 2's Brandy Savage also in the water. So I think that's everybody from Team 2. Either themselves, their comm is in the water, going for a torpedo upgrade, or it's going to be facilities. Yep, the facilities for everyone else. That is surprising that again, there's 1, 2, and then 3, 4, 5. Okay, so it is everybody in the water. Okay, that's what I thought. Looks like the facility was being built from Meven. But anyway, so 6 of the 7 players for Team 1 are in the water. 6 of the 7 players are in the water. Again, that's kind of an asterisk next to that for Hyper 2001. Apologies for the, I don't know, just brain fart that I had moments ago. Again, players are getting their starting facilities online. Some of them is going straight for T2, and they can do that because there's not a lot of pressure down any sort of avenue between Team 1 and Team 2, bar just a couple of skirmishes between a couple of subs. But that's really not that bad, considering we see a lot of focus on going for techs, at least in T2 technology. We have Master Seasons. We have Spectre Slave. Blarg hasn't gone for his yet. I don't see any movement outbound, at least for upgrades for anybody else yet. Oh, no, we do see an upgrade started as well for Guys for Team 2. Team 1, T2 Navy online for Twitchy Mofo. Looks like it's started for their Sauerkraut. We have T2 done for Nyx, and T2 done for Moose, and T2 started for Black Phoenix. So at least, I'd say the majority of players for both teams in Navy have decided to not necessarily skip Team 1 altogether, but are heavily going straight for T2. I will note that every player on Team 2 has the FC tag in their name, so you would definitely presume that they are on comms via Discord channel or whatnot. So I highly doubt there'll be a lot of communication in the chat between the teammates, but we probably will see some comment or something between them. And then I wouldn't be surprised to see some communication between the other team, the other players from the other team and whatnot in all chat. We do see Team 1's Nyx is in the middle of the water here, getting some engineers online for mixes, as well as just a little bit of reclaim. A little bit too early for all that massive amount of reclaim that we love to see in naval matches. But I do know it does slow down the game definitely gets to a point where it does become -1 at a bare minimum, so it will be a little bit of a slowdown, which is why I tried to speed the game up just a little bit, get to the introductions, and start seeing what everybody is up to. And just more and more facilities. We do see a little bit of some conglomerating of forces from Team 1's Sauerkraut. We do see his T2 Navy is online going for destroyers, and we do see some movement outbound from Meven to assist in the middle for Nyx. Team 1's Black Phoenix is also there. So it looks like Team 1, for the most part, has control of the middle as well as the northeast corner. We do see mexes have been destroyed for Team 2. It looks like there's going to be an attempt to rebuild those. I highly doubt that. Team 1's Black Phoenix is inbound with some engineers to scoop up reclaim as well as build those mexes. So I highly doubt those engineers will get a chance at scooping those up. Pausing and unpausing. We do see comment by Twitchy Mofo saying this lag is bad. I don't know how bad the game is currently, and I do know the game did go for about an hour and a half, so there is a slowdown given the time is about, I think, 50 something minutes. Maybe it's close to 50 minutes for the replay time at least. And I highly doubt we'll see Convicom action given it's a decently big map. And even it's pretty much a 20 by 20 Navy map. Maybe we'll see a torpedo from a Cybercom hit somebody, but the chances of Convicom action in a map like this are very slim. They're not none, but they're definitely slim. We do see Mexes have been eliminated for Team 2's Master of Season here in the West. He's moving an engineer to rebuild those, and looks like he's starting to claim the southwestern side of the map, which, in terms of total Mexes, Team 1 will favor just a little bit because there's the Trimex here, a couple of Mexes here, and then obviously a couple of Mexes here, while Team 2 enjoys these Trimex positions here. Maybe they'll end up grabbing this one right here. We'll see. And then there are two sets of Mexes down there in the southwest. So a little bit in favor for Team 1 for the Mex count, which we semi-see reflected here in the mass generated per second. We did see, I think, Team 2 had a little bit of a power outage or issue that they fixed. So the mass income's a little bit in favor for Team 1, but not by much. And again, players heavily focusing on the destroyer/cruiser phase or sub-killer or sub-hunters phase of Navy. Nano repair has been started by Team 2's Hyper, so he's gone for T2, he's gone for Torpedo, and he's gone for Nano. And he's going, wow, he's going just full HP and regen on board that comm. Wants to stay alive as long as possible. But what will that also do is give him access to building harms, so he could start maybe harm creeping Team 1 a little bit. Granted, harms can be ground fired, so they're not the end-all be-all for torp defense or PD in the water, but it is something. It does help out, especially with dealing with lots of annoying battleships and stuff, if they're not, out of range. Anybody going straight for T3 from Team 1? T2 Navy done for Nix. I wouldn't be surprised if T3 Air is done for Team 1. Yes, it is. Checking on Team 2. T3 Air is done. Do we only see one air player in the game? Again, given it's a Navy map, what I always say is every player in Navy needs at least T2 Air for their torp bombers. I feel like it's almost a requirement. It's not a requirement, but it's just kind of a heavy, it's nice to have kind of advice that I point out or try to say every time it does come up. We do see a little bit of cruiser action from Team 1's Moose. Both factions have access to cruiser missile tech in UEF and Seraphim technology. So there's no one team that will have a heavy advantage there. Team 1 does have the Aeons on their team, which means the only Aeon in the game, I should say, of this autocrat, which means he has access to the Torrent class missile ship, those things that spam out almost 24 missiles at a time. Just an insane amount of firepower in range on those things. You see Team 1 getting, again, very frontline facilities. Looks like they're spamming out just Team 1 standard units. I wouldn't be surprised if he just goes subs, just to defend this position a little bit easier. We do see a couple of Salems online just to helping out with any sort of a little bit more extra range or torpedoes on board. First semi-major engagement, we have a couple of laser-equipped Seraphim destroyers versus the Seraphim forces of Team 1 and the Aeon forces of Team 1 as well. We do see a nice little shield boat from Team 2's Spectre Slave to save those destroyers. A little bit of heartache, but I think that that bulwark might be targeted for reasons that obviously we know, because it's the only shield boat in the game. Doesn't mean that shield can't be on the or over the water or hovering over the water. But it's the only actual boat in the game that has a shield projection capability, or shield in general. We do see Hyper 2001 is inbound for that engagement north of his position. We do see a lot of Coopers online for his teammate of Spectre Slave. We don't see these units used a ton, partly because their hit point count is low. Also, they are targetable by essentially every naval unit in the game. That one just got one tapped, like, nope, sorry, you are going to die in particular for whatever reason. And unlike sub-hunters and sub-killers, again, they can't submerge under the water, so they are easily targetable by, again, the everything. But they do spam out a lot of torpedoes and torp defense on board, so it is nice to have embedded in fleets, but sometimes it's not great to keep them sitting where cruisers can shoot at you. So we do see Spectre Slave, it moves them after one of them takes some damage. And Team 2, do we see anybody going straight for T3? No, 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 and no. And that is everybody in Team 2. Looks like Hyper in 2001 is not gonna produce any naval forces himself. We do see his teammate of Rekather is just going for. Oh no, he did produce his own naval facility up to the north. The little, not confusing, but the lightish red pink and the Barbie pink colors are kind of similar. So swapping one for the other one for me is definitely something I do. Not more than on occasion, but definitely a decent amount of time. We do see Rick some Storks delivering some torpedo babies to Team 2. Probably don't like that delivery, that's for sure. And they're going for the destroyers. There are 5 of them now online, and we do see they submerge. At least that one can submerge, or did submerge to not be targetable. And it did take some damage. It's not dead, but it definitely is hurting a little bit more than it once was. We do see some shield boats online coming in to assist the forces from Team 2's. Who's that? Who owns them? That's Blarg 6516. And those shields do go underneath the water. It's kind of hard to tell that, but they do have a sphere around them. I kind of like when the Asylums or the T3 Seraphim mobile shielding is on or hovering over the water. You can actually see the full shield. Kind of interesting how the devs set up the shield. They're not actually sitting in the middle of it. They're sitting a little bit higher than the middle, which is interesting. Cruiser on the western side, going after the mexes for Team 2's Master of Seasons. He's probably going to have to get some Team D. Probably he will have to get some Team D on board because the exterior mexes are starting to get hit, especially with the set of mexes there being down for a little bit of time. He's losing on at least 6 to 18 mass a second at a bare minimum. And probably going to build some Team D here shortly. As a Pigeon back there, definitely, I mean, not super critical now because he's probably getting to T3 here shortly, but definitely wants to keep as much power online as possible. And Team 1, we do see players still in the water. It's not 20 minutes yet, so snipes usually don't happen till about then. We do see 1, 2, 3. Well, he's on land, but he's in the water-ish. So 3, 4, 5 of the players for Team 1 are in the water. The only ones not are Rick and who did I not name? That would be. I'm missing like one more player from Team 1. I don't know. Oh, he's over here. He's in his main base. It's a Sauerkraut. Okay. I guess he just blends in with all of the green that he's surrounding himself with. More bombers inbound from him. There are some skimmers. And those are skimmers. Those are some Team 1 bombers. And no, those are T2 bombers. So those were Team 1s. Yeah, T2s, never mind. Just losing my mind today, I guess. Nah, nothing out of the ordinary. We do see Team 2 starting to push in a little bit. And again, as a reminder, Hyper is there in the water with T3, Torpedo, and Nano. And he is building some harms. That's going to be very, very useful for defensive purposes. The things, unfortunately, don't have any torp defense, which you would think an ambushing torpedo system would have its own torp defense. But I guess for balance reasons, they don't have that. Of course, I'm not the one that makes those decisions, but you would think. But I guess regular torp launchers don't have torp defense. I think. I don't think they do. I think maybe they do. I don't know. I haven't really taken a full look at regular Team 1 and T2 torp launchers to think about that offhand. We do see those destroyers have submerged themselves, and now one has emerged. Apologies. All the other ones are heavily damaged, so the destroyers from Team 2's Master of Seasons can't target them, at least with their main cannons. Obviously, that means that those main cannons for Team 1 can't also target stuff, but it's less damage that they have to deal with. We do see Team 2 launching a full assault straight down the middle, and Team 1 is collapsing on top of that line. We see forces from the southwest, not as much from the southwest, but mainly from the northeast, moving in to consolidate and also push back that line. It was a nice attempt. They wipe out one facility, but it's not the headquarters. It's not a deal breaker for Team 1. We do see in the northeast, Team 2 now Team 1 starting to now push in on that northern front. And at 20 minutes on the clock, nobody has died, which is good. Mass income is about the same evenly between the teams, not necessarily per player. And the map control, again, it is a Navy map, so it is fluid. Make that joke every single time. There's a Navy map. But it's definitely starting to feel like Team 1, especially in the northeast, owns a huge portion of it. Southwestern side, it was looking like Team 2 was going to own it, but Looks like Team 1's in the lead a little bit. And this game might be determined by who pivots to late game sooner. Because if, let's say, Team 1 pivots sooner, if they hold the line, even if they get pushed back a little bit, you know, their artillery piece, their game ender, their nukes, their whatever, will have plenty of time to be built, load, fire, get shielding, all that sorts of stuff. And again, same thing can be said for Team 2. If Team 2 pivots maybe a little bit sooner than Team 1, then that might be the winning move for them. It just depends on, do you have enough defense on the front line, and can you keep roughly that level of defense while also going for game ender, while you're also going for whatever you're going for. And again, Hyper is in the water still, so those torpedoes on board the destroyers, if they get closer, can start targeting Hyper 2001. And I don't know if Team 1 knows he's there or not. No, they don't have any idea. He does have stealth, so unless something flies over top and sees him, which I don't think they did. Well, let's see. Give these torp bombers a second to fly over. No, they didn't see him. So he's still hanging out underneath the shield, but which is definitely a good place to be in terms of Team 1's intelligence gathering for Team 2. They have a spy plane in the background getting more view on what Team 2 is up to. But again, you can kind of see that sphere of influence. They're owning a decent portion of the middle of the map, and maybe not as much on the southwest now, but they're owning that northeast pretty well. And then Team 2, this is what they know about Team 1. Their Omni reaches to about here, so they don't know everything that's going on in the background. That's, again, partly just because it's a 20 by 20 map. It's a big, big map, and there's just that Omni only goes so far. Even, obviously, the regular sensor range on board. And constantly, torp bombers are inbound from Team 1. A couple of them at a time, though. Those shields do regen decently quickly. We do see some AA being built by Hyper to assist. And, of course, there is some missiles raining in from Team 1. There is some Team D on board those governors. I believe that's standard practice for all cruisers to have TMD. Though the ones that even don't fire missiles still have TMD. But I guess the cruisers do have, for the Sirens, do have missile redirect systems on board, which are also very annoying to deal with as well. I'm surprised there's not more Cybran technology here. We have Seraphim and UEF, no Cybran, and 2 facilities, actually 3 technically on the eastern side, and then the 4th one is Hyper. So I guess Cybran technology in the harms and in the AA, but not in the boat department, at least in the middle here. A couple of Valiants really wishing they didn't push forward for 2 seconds, and those laser weapons don't miss very often, and even if they do, it's because they're transitioning from targets. And speaking of laser weapons, my favorite naval unit in the game, the T3 Battlecruiser Neptune, is online for Team 1 and starting to pummel Team 2 at a little bit further range than those destroyers. And those cannons on board are just, ooh, chef's kiss. They're very, very good. You can see all the reclaim lines from the engineers from Team 2. Again, it's going to be reclaim heavy for both teams because naval units cost a pretty penny. We do see currently on the map, if I actually pull up the numbers, we're at 50,000. So we started at 3, and now we're currently at 50. And that number will probably get higher, especially when we see more and more players transitioning to more T3 technology. I will note that there is a secondary T2 naval headquarters for Team 1, but the second one in the background, the main one, is going up to T3. It's nice to have a backup. Don't know if it's needed right there, but it is nice to have a backup. And again, the headquarters do have additional hit points, the 7,000 for the T2 regular one, and then the 14,000 one next door for the headquarters. So it is nice to have a little bit more hit points as a nice little buffer. T3 Navy done for Team 1's Moose. T3 Navy done, of course, for Nyx because he's the owner of that battlecruiser. And looks like, yeah, T3 Navy now done for Twitchy Mofo. Team 2, T3 Navy done for Master of Seasons. T3 Navy is started for Blarg. T3 Navy is done for Spectre Slave. He's going for his own Neptunes. And T3 Navy, nope. And nope. So nobody else going for T3 Navy as of yet. But I expect pretty much everybody in Navy is going to go for T3 at some point, unless they're doing just an assist role, so maybe T2 or even just T1. Currently, especially in Rekather's point of view, because he's focusing on air. And that is a nuke in the middle of his base that he's building. So that'll be interesting for Team 1 to wake up to. We do see his place is already shielded, so I love that he's getting shields early. Sooner rather than later is what I love to see. And he's putting some P-gens underneath the shielding. which is definitely a nice little use of reducing the cost a little bit in the shielding cost. We do see more torp bombers coming in from Team 1. A little bit of shielding from Team 1's Rick also to protect the SMD, which I'd love to see that as well. And UEF doing UEF things. Rick is going for the satellite from the UEF faction. ARAS down from Mevin going for T3 engineering suite now on board. Expanding out that air grid. So we have 2 air players for Team 1, and I believe it's only 1 air player for Team 2, Hyper 2001. T2 air down there, T3 land, if I can talk, from Hyper 2001. So no T3 air yet. Maybe he'll go for T3. We do see T2 air done for Right Guys. And I think for the most part, that's the rest of the air facilities for Team 2. Missiles inbound from Team 1 going for the T3 Naval headquarters. There has been some TMD prepped. Some of them will actually impact, but they don't do a lot of damage. Another volley inbound. Again, it's probably just going to be that one missile. And no, 2 of them actually make it through. So 1 more missile looks like will be it. There's 2 more inbound. That won't be enough. They needed to overwhelm the defenses. And ASF kind of almost got hit. And it looks like it was going to get through, but no. So about 1 or 2 more through that 3rd burst would have been enough to kill off the headquarters. That would have been a really good snipe from Team 1. But it looks like maybe 1 TMD at 1 and 2 more are going to be built. So that's going to be the end of that attack missile assault for now from Team 1. At least the ones that are built on a nice little launcher instead of on board a cruiser. We do see entanglements on the eastern side here. We have a couple of Neptunes. That one is heavily damaged. That one's not having a fun day. Team 2 defending with a T2 fleet. We do see a Neptune is online for Spectral Slave moving into assist, but it is a 3v1 pretty much. Second one is inbound. His facility's kind of causing some pathfinding issues. And it's just not... Again, Team 2 has had a hard time on this northeastern side, and it's kind of on full display with what's going on. But 1 Neptune is down. Second one, this one that was heavily damaged, it's somehow still alive at 3,000 hit points and climbing. Maybe some battleships are needed from Team 2 to deal with that. Again, that is one of the 2 weaknesses for the Neptune is range and hit points. Those are the 2 biggest things. And I don't think it doesn't have torp defense on. No, it has torp defense and it has tactical missile defense. It has everything else. Just not the range as the battleships and not the hit points as the battleships. But the battleship from Team 1's Sauerkraut is going to help with both of those things. Best range in the game, or longest range in the game for a battleship. And it has torp defense on board as well. And it's submersible. So there is that. Maybe we'll see the Atlantis class aircraft carrier that is also a submarine from Team 2 or even Team 1. Sooner rather than later, I hope, because that will definitely put a damper on the conglomeration of stuff. Because that AoE on board that Tempest is not to be trifled with. We do see sensor package done with the Sauerkraut on board his comm. He might go for range because of that. Usually it's a nice little thing to have that additional range with the sensor package, but he did go for ARAS, so he's just trying to juice those veins. And I will note that Team 2 has gotten some Wagners on the Team 1 side of the map. There are some gunships dealing with them as we speak. They might be in the keyword killing off a T3 Max, which is 27 mass a second, which is not something to be, scoffed at. But I do think the Volthus are pretty much done with at this point. It did drop. Oh. It's going to be close. 400. 450 is the total. Looks like 2 mexes were killed, so they did kill off some eco. Yep, and those are T3 Mex wrecks, so that's 54 mass plus the additional 9, so let's call it 60 mass taken away from Twitchy Mofo. That's going to hurt a little bit. Did not go off of the reclaim totals. Apologies. Team 2 sitting out 2.2k versus Team 2's 1.92k, so about 200-ish in Team 1's favor, but divvied up between 7 players. I mean, even if we did 8 players, that's 25 mass a second. So what is that? A little under 30 mass a second per. That's essentially 1 T3 single ringed mechs, if you really want to take it in terms of that. So not a whole lot, but total it makes a difference. That's a lot of bombers going after not a lot of units, and they're really struggling about which one they wanted to go after, because it looks like they all targeted the same unit. That unit got obliterated. Then they're like, okay, which one are we going after now? Look at them, they're like, where are we going? Also doesn't help that they're impacting the ground or the... Is it still ground if it's under the water? The landmass, the whatever you want to call that, under the water. I don't know if is it still called ground? I would assume it's called ground. But there is the Tempest. It is done with a nice little T on the icon to indicate it is the Tempest. I do love the Caliber mod set, adding different symbols for all the different experimentals. I did wish they kind of kept the GC in the GC, but they switched it to a G just because it does make the G a little bit bigger, so it's easy to see. I get that, but I do kind of miss the GC on the icon for the GC. And I do appreciate that some of the icons for other units are different, like the Novax, which is done. It has... I like the older icon that they had, but it's, it's square, it's ground unit or ground structure, indicate it doesn't move. But the satellite is a nice little, satellite, has little wings on it, makes it look very... It is the satellite. It is very distinctive. So there's no confusion of, is that what air experimental is that? From a kind of macro versus a micro perspective. Battleship heralding the arrival of the newer battleship from Team 1. Nice little Omen leading the Omen for Team 1, or for Team 2, I guess. Southwestern side, we see Summit and Battlecruiser Neptune versus two Hathums, and then it's Hovathams for the T3 artillery. Always mix them every single time. I feel like I say the other one. And the Atlantis is almost done. Let's say its one downside is the fact that it does not have torp defense, so spamming out a bunch of torp bombers just can easily wipe the thing out. Doing that normally works anyways, but just in general, there's no way for it to defend itself against torpedoes except just hoping that they time out, but the likelihood of that is low-ish. We do see Yasau's also being produced by Team 1's Moose Fabricator, so the best T3 sub in the game, or actually the only T3 sub in the game, so it is the de facto best and worst at the same time. And we do see the game is slowing down a little bit in terms of the action. Again, that's partly just because of Navy. Once you get to that battleship stage, it's really just, okay, line some forces up, shoot at one another, and just keep supplying that line until one of them collapses. And of course, those groups of Yasaus, I like how they're divvied up a little bit like this, so the ground firing, if they do get ground fired, it's not affecting a huge clump of them, it's just one or two of them extra, so it's not terrible for the AoE from Team 2. It's still bad, but it's not as bad as it could be. Speaking of Yasaus, Team 2 deploying them as well from Blarg. Again, the Tempest does have its own torpedoes and its own torp defense as well, so you get a bunch of that stuff sticking together, and torpedoes are going to have a tough time. Some stuff still gets through because 1,000 of anything kill anything, but it's less. Bricks in the water says the sauerkraut, and there are bricks. Again, the bricks do have torpedoes just like the Omens from the Seraphim faction. There's about a couple brick walls under the water there. Let's see, it should be about 30. Oh, let's see if I can pull back and get another one. Yep, 32. Look at that. It's pretty darn close. So closing in on 3 brick walls, almost enough to build a house with. And those Exodus are being chipped away because, again, the torpedoes on board aren't that damaging. But again, 1,000 of anything, kill anything. So to the northwest, more torp bombers being stacked up. More more mass FAF farms being built. Second Novax coming online for Rick. Okay, so again, he put it probably closer to his air grid so he can shield it better, but it doesn't get adjacency from the thing because it's not actually the unit. It's the Novax satellite is the actual unit. That's just like the hub. It's like if they gave everyone of those robot vacuums, like the vacuum is the vacuum, and its little housing is just the housing. It isn't the vacuum, at least in my opinion. So if you're going to call it the vacuum, you're talking about the thing that moves, not the thing that just sits there. So, and it's just more volatile and cascading, especially with it also being next to a mass fab. It's kind of just nice little target for Team 2 to go after. Let's just say that, kind of a nice little, not all eggs, but a couple of eggs in one basket. Atlantis is pushing in from Team 2's Master of Seasons, but again, it is getting ground fire. That's another thing about it. It is ground fireable. And a nuke, I would presume from Rekather, because we saw him building that earlier. That is where it's coming from. Where is it going? I just want to say, where does it come from? Where is it going? Where does it come from? Cotton Eye Joe. I think that's how the song goes. Something like that. Nuke is inbound west by northwest, going for Twitchy Mofo's base. Twitchy Mofo, do you have new? Indicated by the fact that he is running away. So that's not going to be fun for him. Oh, no, he does have an SMD. Is it? No, it's not loaded, though. So good news, bad news. Good news is that SMD is probably going to be fine. Bad news is that his main base is going up in flames or plasma. So not great. That will probably drop the significant mass difference from Team 1 and Team 2. I will note that Twitch Mofo's at 225. The players in Eco that are leading are Nyx at almost 700 and then Rick at 500 with Moose right behind them about, oh, it actually dropped short. Wipes out the T3 Naval headquarters for Twitchy, but he doesn't lose his mass fabs or his max or anything else in his base, which is definitely nice. Team 2 does have a counter satellite on from Rekather, so that's not fun. Wipes out a P-Gen. That's not going to be a fun day for him. And then Rekather, of course, already shielded his stuff earlier, and that satellite kind of struggling to pierce those shielding, and that's where the satellite is for Rekather as we speak. Looks like some of those shields upgraded. They went from the ED4's T3 to the ED5's T3. So it is a nice feature of the Cyberns as they can go from ED1s to ED5, and they transition from 2 to 3 at that ED4 stage. We do see more battleships, more Yasows for Team 1 in the north. In the middle, more Neptunes. Hopefully he's still building. I think those are those cruisers or are those destroyers? Those are destroyers. And we see more bulwarks, so he's kind of giving a nice little mix, but semi-focused on destroyers. I would like to see some more Neptunes still pumped out of him, or at least out of the UEF, just because I can really like the Neptune. But we do see another Atlantis hanging out next to a Neptune, so both sides of the map are going for that very, very, very useful unit, the Atlantis, but again, very weak to torpedoes. It actually has less hit points than a battleship. 44,000 base for a Galaxy, and then it's 51 for the Summit, so 11,000 more hit points. So that does make a difference. Interestingly enough, the player in the farthest corner of the map from Team 2 going for Billy Nuke, which makes me think somebody's going to go for Teleporter, and I wonder who that somebody is going to be. Team 1 only has 2 UEF players, being Nyx and Rick. And Rick is the one going for the Billy Nuke now, so maybe secondary one, maybe? But there is that possibility. Team 2 has 4 Cyberns, so the likelihood that somebody goes Telemazer is pretty high. Again, not 100% guarantee, but the percentage chance does go up the more Cyberns you have. An air fight between Team 1's Mevin and Team 2's Rekather does go Team 2's way significantly. That is a slaughter in the air from Team 2. We do see ASFs are now inbound from Rick. Obviously, they're not going to get the Neptune, the Novax. And we do see the last remaining battleship is being dealt with by the bombers. And it is now -2 -1 now, but it was -2 moments ago in terms of the speed of the game. So again, let me know down in the comments who you think is going to currently win this game at 36 minutes and almost 30 seconds on the clock. Hopefully everybody has enjoyed so far. Please let me know again if you have or have not, because I can't force you to enjoy, but hopefully you did. And again, hit the like button, subscribe, do all the YouTube things like sharing and whatnot, because that's how YouTube knows that my videos are worth caring about. And let's get on to of course, just take a bunch of ships and shoot at one of them or one another from Team 1 and Team 2. Nice little cinematic shot of all of those battleships. We have Cyberns and UEF with a nice little Summit mixed in versus Cyberns and UEF from Team 1. So nice little mirroring effect going down there. And a Summit from Team 1, I also surmise. Yep. So not Summit, sorry. Atlantis on both sides. Atlantises. However it's supposed to be pronounced. I think I say all 3 ways every time. RAS started here on Master of Seasons for more eco. We see satellites, interesting enough, focused on the naval headquarters is from Team 2. Maybe just trying to wipe out more stuff being built, which does help with stuff being built. You go after the thing that can build the thing, and they can't build the thing anymore. It's like the stuff when you shoot at the thing shooting at you, and you dealt with all those, they can't shoot back at you anymore because all their stuff is gone now. A couple of SMDs built on the shoreline for Nyx to protect his facilities. Love to see that. Again, in a naval game that is kind of a, not a forgotten thing, but it's one of those moves where you usually protect your mexes or your main base with all the mexes in them. But usually the headquarters is, not to say ignored, just kind of forgotten about. And that's why the SMD here is nice. But again, to be fair, if Team 2 had some forces here, that would be a nice target to take out. But if they're already there, they're probably going to wipe out that headquarters soon after anyways. That's why you always have a backup SMD in the main base, just in case. And even if your teammate is in front of you, in this case, you always build your own SMD, because you never know that SMD can come offline, and then bad things happen, and then stuff blows up, and then this is not a fun day for anybody. Except for the other team. Usually it's a fun day for them when your stuff blows up. Usually. We do see more and more Coopers again, easily targetable by Team 1, and they are still in the water, so torpedoes and everything else can still shoot at them. Remember, Atlantis just slowly wiping them out. We do see satellites from Team 1 not targeting land stuff, not even targeting facilities in the water. They're targeting units, which is very rare to see just in general, because usually the defense satellite is usually an offensive satellite, which is why I think it should just be renamed to satellite, because it can do both things. But that's just my opinion on the matter. T3 started for the sauerkraut. He has sensor package. He did not go for range. He just went for more hit points, which this is what the view looks like for Team 1's the sauerkraut. Again, you kind of see a little bit of that sensor package right about there, but there's really not a lot that he can't already see from the everything else next to him. But again, it is nice to have that just in case. We do have a laser going after some exposed mass fabricators. That's never fun. And that's one of the reasons why Team 1's ego is at 3.5. It's 1,000 mass in their favor, because we have multiple players going for tons of mass fab farms everywhere. Not really that many here. Oh, no. There's a lot dotted there. Never mind. That's very cascadable. I do not like that. But again, other things are also cascadable, so just different flavors. I do like this little config here. Essentially, it's divided up so this could cascade and then this could cascade, but they can't cascade into one another because the shield is far enough apart to give them that breathing room. And it kind of forms this nice little H, not counting all the mass storages next to them. So I do like that little config there. Artillery has been started for Rick. I thought that was a quantum gateway. It was not. And then another satellite started for Rick. So that's 3 for Team 1. Team 2 has 1 that I know of, and maybe a second one in the works. Yep, and then more underway. Usually, if you have 1, usually you build more. Not always, unless you transition into artillery and, well, usually game ender artillery. And it's nice to have, but Federal Reserve Printer for Team 2 Spectre Slave. Love the name there. He has the engineering drones, of course, on board. Now he's going for his RAS upgrade. And lots of mass fabs that are, again, very cascadable. I like the stealth field, though, next to him-ish, because you can see this is what Team 1 can see. They can't see the rest of them, but they see some of that line, so it's still noticeable, but not too bad. It obfuscates all of the which are the drones or the the other units nearby, which is probably the main focus of the battlefield. Do you see that is? Sure, that's a lot of Wagners, and again, that's coming from the fact that Cybern's are the only ones in the game that don't have hover tech. And even the UEF have a unit or 2 in hover. The Cybern's have none. That is all in the water. That is a lot of torpedoes. That's a lot of them. They're not in range yet, but that looks like they may have just eaten that summon alive. Speaking of eating, how much reclaim is on the map for those engineers to eat? Oh, just, a cool 200,000 mass on the map at 40 minutes. Total mass reclaimed. Team 2 in the lead, but not by much at 320. Team 1 at 290 almost. So 600 mass has been reclaimed. Another nuke outbound from Team 2. And by this point, I imagine everybody and their grandmother probably has an SMD somewhere. I say that. Oh no, it's right there. Okay, I was going to say was going to say somewhere, but you never know. There might be that one SMD that comes offline. Looks like it's going straight down the middle. Looks like it is going for Mevin's base. Oh, look at ooh, and he got that YOLO almost into the yellow, and he's reclaiming it. Why is he reclaiming a a YOLO that's almost 25% done? What is he? Oh, that's why. Because we have Aeon Tech on Team 1, and Nyx has decided to go just full reserve, like the mint from the US, just the US mint, just printing money at this point. The nuke was shot down. It did not fall short anywhere. We have another Tempest on that. One of them, that one did die. The other two that just were newly minted, looks like they're being produced roughly at the same time. They're cousins. We do see a nice little torrent mixed in there. So we're seeing all of the T3/T3 units, sorry, T4 units for the Aeon faction all right next to one another. Nice to see the full depth of the roster. Northeastern side is starting to favor Team 2 a little bit. The satellites are slowing stuff down, to be fair. That's not a lot of damage, but again, considering, 45,000 hit points almost on the battleship, and they're slowly whittling away those hit points. It's just taking a while. And again, Navy is the slowest of the three major engagements, between land, air, and sea. Air is pretty quick. I'd say land is the middle, and then Navy is the slowest. Navy is also the slowest to see results, especially at this stage where there's a lot of just kind of slow engagements and there's constant units resupplying, but it doesn't look like you're winning one way or the other, but there's a little bit of movement over, a minute or so. But Team 1 is falling back, but there's a lot of the ACUs, I will admit. So definitely something for Team 2 to watch out for. Those Wagners do not have torp defense. They only have torpedoes, so they can do damage, but they cannot block damage. And to be fair, they are ripping apart those galaxies. Again, they are slowly being dealt with, to be fair. But those hit points on board are just being removed, like they were being, controlled, deleted almost. The Atlantis is helping as well. It still has a lot of hit points to lose to just T2 units. Imagine if those were bricks. Bricks have torp defense and torpedoes, so it's worse. Southwestern side, couple of units. They are engineers. They're moving in. There is a summit slowly moving in. Team 1 getting some reinforcements, at least on the western side, for Twitchy Mofo from Mevin and from the Sauerkraut. I will note 42 minutes on the clock. No one's dead. No one is dead. We've had nobody randomly lose connection or anything like that. So very rare to see that no one is dead at 42 minutes. We've had one game only on the channel where we had no deaths. It was just a complete withdrawal. So maybe this will be the second one. But of course, as I'm saying that, I was of course looking at Hyper, who's also going for laser. If you're going for laser, 43 minutes on the clock. The chance that he's going to go for a teleporter is probably pretty high, which means he's going to teleport in and probably blow something up. If Team 2 knows about the Paragon, which they don't, they probably will go after a big air grid or the Novaxes. That might be another target. Is there a lot of... Oh, there's some Ravagers. Okay. I would like to see more T1 to T2-ish, just because those Ravagers do take a second or two to spin up and then obviously turn, depending on what direction the Telemaser Commander or whatever else is coming in on. We do see a Stone Ranger being built for Rick, so he has a nuke soon to be online. He has his artillery that's working, but it's not... When I say working, it's being worked on, but it's slow. It's not as prevalent, I guess, as the Paragon that's almost done. Lots of PD being... There's a lot of those things being built. That's not a blueprint. I feel like that's... No, some of it... It looks too random to be a blueprint. It could be, for all intents and purposes, but I highly doubt it. There's a stealth field there. Also love to see that. And another air fight between Team 1 and Team 2. Team 1 looks like they might get the lion's share of the kills, which definitely is leaning into that. Team 2 heavily loses there, so there was a good engagement from Team 2 against Mevin. And then I guess later on, right now, Team 1 just rips apart most of those forces from Rekethor. And again, it's 2v1 in the air game for Team 1 to Team 2. So Team 2 is operating already on a, not necessarily deficit, but just they can't produce as much theoretically. But we do see another air grid for here, which is a huge decentralization, or at least splitting up of the air grid. We have a section here, which is actually just PGens. Another satellite done. Another nuke launching, this time from Team 2's Hyper, who's launching it from here. Speaking of Hyper, still working on that laser upgrade. Looks like he's almost done with it. But that nuke is inbound northwest, or pretty darn close to, 45 degrees between north and west. Looks like it might drop short. Looks like mexes were handed over to Nyx. And again, oh, okay, because that was built. That's why. Never mind. That would explain why the mexes were semi-handed off, because that should be technically Twitchies. But again, when you hand over just the mechs in this example and not the mass storage, you do not get the benefit of the veterancy. And Nuke actually lands short. Kaboom. Wipes out maybe some forces that were there. Doesn't look like there was a ton, but I guess there was something, because we see some dead stuff. We do see 4 Tempests, though, for Team 1. Maybe that's what the target was and they moved in time. We do see a ton of torp bombers inbound from the east. We see actually a couple of them from Sauerkraut as well, going after, it looks like, the Yassaus. And Yassaus also have torp defense on board, so they're not in easy pickings like the Atlantis is, for example. But again, 1,000 of anything. Does Team 2 notice? They do notice that the Paragon exists. Again, first rule about building a Paragon is you always build a second one, which we see being built here by Nyx, which again, still the YOLO is being reclaimed. So whenever I made a comment about it, it's only dropped 400 roughly hit points, or 300 roughly hit points. Not a lot of hit points to drop between those. Is there another? Well, there's a couple of Scathai being built. This one's almost half done already. And that's the one of the downsides to the Paragon is you don't see the initial impact of the Paragon until about a couple of minutes in, because as if you have the build path for it, you get the artilleries, you get the GCs, you get the whatever you're trying to build online. Once those are online, then you start seeing the results, because you get just more and more and more, and maybe you get more Paragons. You just get more and more and more. It's just kind of just an exponential growth function, and it's just not a fun environment to be in if you're the opponent. But we have some Revenants just straight down the middle from Team 2. We do see the ASFs are going to catch up to them, at least the bulk of them. Maybe one will drop a payload if it drops short. We do see they are going to drop short for that SMD, but it might have been enough if all of them made it, but not a whole lot. There are 3 satellites over top. Shields are being continuously built, and they're being assisted. That one almost completely dropped. Engineers really try to keep it online, but I highly doubt they'll keep it. Speaking of keeping stuff online, are you done? No. And why can't I see your upgrade? He did go for it, though. Like I said, if he goes for one, or somebody goes for one that late in the game, or somewhat late in the game, the likelihood he goes for teleporter is kind of high. Team 2 is starting to hold a little bit. 2 of the 4 Tempests are down in the middle. Team 2 is pushing it on the western side, though, and have pretty much breached most of the defenses. We do see, I think that's Rekethor's Highlight saying, hey, go after the headquarters, because those Atlantis are being ground fired, so probably take that out sooner rather than later. See, the problem with Hyper going straight for the Paragon is look at all of that PD. That's the range of the total PD within range. There are 123 of them. So that's a lot. We do see more kennels are being built. Kind of surprised he's not going for hives, but I guess he can move the engineer drones around, so it's probably better. He's going for a lot of those things, and he's upgrading them as well. Just trying to spend that mass that he's getting for free. Team 1 at 8.79, but again, that's inflated by the Paragon. Nuke is online. 3 artilleries are on. 3 satellites, and the artillery is almost online. And the Nuke is inbound from Hyper once again. Where is his comm? Where did you go? No, where are you? Hyper, would you? Oh, he's back here. Okay, he looks like he's doing short jumps. Looks like he's going straight for that. Ooh. He's going to target that SMD. He might not get out of there. The PD is being built now. And we do see reclaiming efforts to just scoop up for PD. The comm will get there shortly. Of course, the satellite's going to help maybe weaken the shielding enough to maybe help kill off the SMD itself. We have ASFs flying over top just to mitigate the damage a little bit. There goes Hyper 1001's comm. He kills off the SMD immediately, but he's not going to get out of there. The second one is maybe going to be targeted. SACU trying to block. He's doing actually a good job of blocking. Oh, another nuke outbound. Looks like maybe from Recather. Gunships come in. Those are the ones that dealt with those other invaders earlier from Team 2. But boom. Everything in that mix that was not an engineer, or that everything that was an engineer is dead. Everything else is fine for the most part. But the crucial thing, the SMD is down. This SMD was barely built. And the other one east of that location was also barely built. So that Paragon might actually die. And there goes an explosion southwest. It looks like it went after whatever was remaining there. Kaboom. Looks like that was from Hyper. But the nuke from Recather is inbound. And it is going to land. Team 1, again, they haven't gone for nukes. They went, again, for a YOLO. That's still being reclaimed. And that Paragon is being heavily assisted because he knows that, guess what Team 1, or Team 2 just targeted? He know, oh, don't move those drones too close. Might lose them. SMDs are also being targeted to prevent other stuff from being protected. Scathis is done. So second game ender has been completed by Team 1. And that nuke is still inbound. Again, that's what -2 will do to your, just replay in general. But everything else, Scathis is targeting the air grid for Team 2's Recather, so that's not fun. The nuke might not get a chance to give me its details on how much stuff it killed. We'll try to race over after we witness the explosion. That is the Paragon. I can see I peaked my mic there, but everything is gone. Lots of SACUs died. Lots of engineering drone kennels died. Maybe I got it. I didn't see how much mass, but somebody could probably pause the video and try to get right close to how much mass that killed. It was probably a lot. Paragon plus all of the RAS comms or whatever else was there, plus all the other stuff that was there. That's a lot of stuff to blow up. Lots and lots of damage, but Team 2 is still having a nuke. Spectre Slave now owns the base, once belonging to Hyper. So first comm kill of the game does go to Team 1's Nyx onto Hyper. Hyper sacrificed himself to kill off the Paragon, so I feel like that's a worthy gesture. And let's see if Team 2 can turn it around. But 48 minutes on the clock. Second Paragon is almost done. And Scathis is already done, plus an artillery piece that can't reach to the other side of the map because, again, it is a 20 by 20 or almost. That's as far as it goes, so T3 artillery is kind of just not really that, unless you built it in the frontline bases, which may or may not be a good idea depending on the state of the Navy. But 4 nav axes for Team 1's Rick, plus whatever else. Oh, look, artillery being built here. That's a little closer to the front line. Getting a little bit closer to Team 2's side of the map. That Paragon is almost done, and it will be completed. Needs a lot more shielding, though, in my opinion. But again, shielding does not protect against the nuke, because the nuke doesn't care about shielding. It just doesn't. Novax is still kind of fine for Recather. He has that 1 in the corner and the 2 right next to that little PGen line. Not great positioning, but hey, at least they're underneath shield coverage, which is better than no shield coverage, at least. And then something about already killed 2. Oh, Twitchy Mofo just saying kill SMD, and Rick saying already killed 2.
Strategic launch detected.
Nuke inbound from Spectre Slave now, once belonging to Hyper. Don't know where that's going. I actually could probably hit the little shift icon. Doesn't show me the location, though, because I think the command has already been, not voided out, but it's already been removed from the list of the stuff that's already been given orders. It does look like it's moving northwest, which tracking Scathis maybe. No, that definitely probably is the target. SMD is not loaded. Mavoy makes an appearance, because why not? Just, I guess, got to spend that mass somehow. Another Paragon getting rebuilt. Looks like he's hop, skipping, and jumping Paragons. And look, Salvation. So the not twin, but the nice companion to the Paragon, the Salvation, makes an appearance as well. So every game ender has made an appearance. Only 2 of them have been built, and 1 of them has been built twice. So, do I count it? Yeah, in terms of all gamers made an appearance, but not all of them were active. I really count them if they're, online. You can see the icon, all that stuff, and it's close. There is this SMD up here for Moose that might clip the range. Oh, it does! It clips the range. That Scathers would have been dead. That second Scathers, I think, would have been outside the range, but that first one that was online is still online. It killed another anti-nuke, says Rick. Looks like he's targeting this. Again, killing anti-nukes are great if you have nukes, which I guess they do. And it's not even loaded yet, but they do have one, so there is that. But you could also just psych your opponent up. You target all the SMDs. You may force them to think that they have nukes. But Master of Seasons and the rest of Team 2 dip out. They're kind of done with the game at this point. Randy control case, but everybody else dips out. Team 1 wins the game 49 minutes and some change. It's still going. There it is. There's the complete black. Oh, people are control K after the fact, and there is a desync at the very, very end. But of course, that was after the game was decided, anyways. So not a big deal. I do think Team 2 could have maybe stayed in the game a little bit longer, but I guess in their opinion, where they know that Team 1 now has they should know Team 1 has a Paragon. Oh yeah, they definitely do. Is that Team 2? No, that's Team 2. Do they? Oh, they have the satellites and whatnot overhead, so I guess they did see that already. But anyway, they know about the Paragon being done. They know about the Scathers that survived the nuke and maybe the second one after that. So they knew that stuff was online, and it was kind of more of it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And they kind of felt that, game's kind of over. This base for Record was already dead, so the air was dead for Team 2 for the most part. Not entirely, but for the most part. Spectre Slave lost his chunk of his base. Still had the space from Hyper, but again, it's one of those scenarios where do you keep playing even though you know the outcome? Huge mass fab farm here from Randy, heavily, heavily cascadable, but he was giving him eco, so there is that. But that one nuke from Team 2's Record did a lot of work, but unfortunately just not enough, and that's just sometimes how the game goes. Again, almost 50 minutes, barely, not 40, not even 49 minutes, 49 seconds. 1 more second, it would have been doubled up on the 49s, but can't have everything, of course. Anyways, hopefully everybody enjoyed till the end of the video with all my ramblings and whatnot towards the end, and obviously during as well. Thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. Again, if you have a replay that you want to send me, send it to me at the email strategiclaunchreplays@gmail.com. It is in the description. Nice little copy pasta. You can just highlight it and make it a lot easier than try to type that whole thing out. You can send me a replay if you have a replay that you want me to look at. And I do viewer Wednesdays once a week, so there is that chance that you will have that video replay casted. So again, thank you so much to the person who did send me this replay. I encourage everybody to send me replays if you have them. I will see all of you in the next one.